I cannot believe that. That is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And continue more about that other thing you were saying.
What was I saying?
We were talking.
So anyway, Charlie was saying, he was telling me, I have such terrible thoughts. I said, like what? He said, I can't tell you, it's so terrible. I can't tell you about it. And I said, well, why do you have those thoughts? I don't know. I just don't know. I have them. And of course, the answer is he doesn't have, it's the old thing about if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. Because he was so receptive on things that somehow he was getting all these vibes from other people. And he was entertaining those thoughts. So if you get a thought you don't like, it's coming from some source deep inside you. Somehow you've been programmed to get those thoughts. For this, the way I've always thought is that you have a biocomputer. All that information comes to you through the biocomputer, all their thoughts. So if you're interacting with people, you're getting those thoughts. So like for me, for instance, you talk to any of the great inventors, what they'll say is, I don't know. I was just working on a problem, the answer came to me. Okay. Some of my inventions, it's just like incredible. I go back and look at it, I don't know how to do that. Okay, it wasn't me. Something else gave that thought to me. You read Alexander Van Bell, he's really explicit about that. He said, I don't know what it is, but when you really want to find a problem, the answer comes to you. And so it comes full force. And last week I talked a little bit about my inventions. What I found is that having read all the inventors and being able to myself, I came up with something called to create. That's the way that I've always thought about creating things. The T is you have to be trying. Like I said earlier, if you don't have a problem to solve, you just want to sit on the couch. None of this means the difference to you. But if you're trying to understand things, trying to understand about the world, trying to make yourself a better life for yourself, trying to solve problems, then you need to be connected to your consciousness in some way.
Hold on, because I want to, are you going to go through the acronym again?
Yeah.
All right, so T is.
The T is you have to be trying. There's a problem you have to trying to solve it. If you say, hey, I got this problem, but I'm going to let somebody else solve it. Okay. Your biocomputer is not going to give you anything. Okay. So the first part is to try. You have some problem and you're trying to solve it. You're actually trying to solve it. And I could probably say 30 different ways that I've done it work. I need to solve some problem. And people say, well, that's kind of impossible to solve. You do it. Okay. You have to be trying to solve the problem. The O is when you get it, it's obvious. And every time I've ever come up with an idea like that, well, that was obvious. Yeah, well, you spent 3 months working on it. Could someone come up with it? He said, yeah, but it's obvious. The answer is obvious now. Yeah, now that you know what the answer is, it's obvious. Okay, it's an obvious thing. So the first is you have to be trying. The O is for obvious, and the C is for complete. Now you hear a lot of people is, if you want to succeed, you have to fail. You have to fail in order to succeed. You try something, you fail, and you learn something, you try again, you fail, and then eventually you succeed. But what I found is if you learn to connect this to consciousness, then when you get it, it's complete. I've never, all my inventions, everything that problems I've solved, I've never had to go back and say, well, that's a good idea, but I have to tweak it. I've never had to do that. It's always been, and that's why people say, well, you must be a genius. No, it's just the process. So it has to be complete. The R is the answer comes to you when you're relaxing. You're not really focused on it. If you're really in there, I got to solve this problem, I got to solve this problem, I got to solve this problem. You really concentrate on it. I never did it that way. This is like when you're relaxing. Okay. So that's CR. And then the E is when it happens to you, you get this enthusiasm, which means enthusiasm means God's with you. Okay, you get this enthusiasm. It's just like, man, so it's fantastic. You feel really good about things. And this whole process, you can also call it eureka too, but the E is the enthusiasm. A is when you get that idea, you can't sit still. You know.
What's the full word?
To create. To create. Okay. So the A is you have to get into action. You can't just sit there. You've been working on this problem. You have to write. You have to tell somebody or something. Okay. Then the T is you have to tell somebody. You have this overwhelming urge to tell your partner or somebody that you've solved the problem. And then you get all the energy necessary to go out and implement whatever you're trying to do. But if you read great inventors, you'll see that this process works for everybody to create. You have to be trying to get the answer. It's obvious, even though you may have spent a long time trying to solve the problem. I spoke last week about the $60 million India thing. Okay. Now, so a lot of this stuff too is that last week I talked about this is one example, but there's many other examples. Last week I talked about I worked for Siemens, and they had a new factory in India, manufacturing. So they had all Siemens equipment. Siemens is the largest international German company making electronics and stuff. They said if electronic moves through it, Siemens makes it. So anyway, they had this large factory in India, and it's all Siemens equipment. Commission day, they turned it on and crashed. They reset the system, turned it on, and crashed. So we sent people from Johnson City who had worked on that project over to our engineering department to try to figure what the problem was. They found out that the power coming into it, so over here we have very clean 120 hertz, 60 hertz, 120 volts, pretty steady. You don't have a whole lot of noise coming in. But in India, it's really noisy. So the engineer said, the problem is it's your power coming in, it's not our equipment. Fix your power, solved. And the engineer is going like, what? I don't think so. It still doesn't work. You guys made this factory, now make it work. Well, the engineer said, well, it's not our problem, it's your problem. You think India liked that answer? No, we got a $60 million lawsuit. And so the engineers came back, set up a little mock factory in the lab. Sure enough, as soon as they put the same noise on the power coming in that they had seen in India, the system failed. They spent like 3 months trying to figure out where the problem is in the system, because you have a lot of components, a lot of systems, you have a lot of software. Where could it be? It could be anywhere. We had no idea. Well, my supervisor said, oh, Stan, I know you got nothing to do with the project, don't know anything about the software, you don't know the people who worked on it, but you seem to have this ability, because he's seen it too many times. Okay. He said, you seem to have this ability. Go talk. So I went out there talked to them for about an hour, and they were happy to see me because they were a good set. 3 months working on this problem, nowhere closer to it. So, and they all knew that I had this ability. Okay. So they talked to me for an hour. I said, okay, I'll go back, see what I can do. Went back, sat at my desk, put my feet up, cleared my desk, put my feet up, just sat there. Cleared my mind. I didn't have any idea of where it should be or anything. I just cleared my mind. Took me about an hour sitting there, and then the answer came to absolutely complete. The problem is in communication chip on these boards, okay? And it pointed right to the area where because the communication chip is a pretty good sized chip with a lot of components on it. And so it pointed to one little section. So, okay, I went in there, put the schematics, did the timing diagrams on it, found the logic error. Because if it had got a noise spike, it would lock up, it wouldn't go anywhere further. You had to reset it to get that going again. So I said, okay, I fixed the problem, sent off for the new prototypes. They came back in, we put it in the lab, and it worked. They ran it for a number of weeks, didn't fail once. Took the parts over to India, put it in the system over there, and they're still making Coca-Cola today, like I like to say. Okay, now, how is it possible that I had nothing to do with anything that I could get that message? And so the end result of all this kind of stuff was that I talked to some of the engineers, and they said, oh, you didn't do anything. I talked to the manager first. He said, oh, you didn't do anything important. I said, what? They worked for 3 months. He said, it couldn't have been that difficult. You only took a week. I mean, you only took an hour to do it. It couldn't have been that difficult. And I talked to the engineers about it. They said, well, we told you everything you did. All you did was put it together. And I just said, really? Okay. So it's the kind of thing, if you can do something, you'll find this in your own life. If you can do these kinds of things, people, they want to rationalize their own behavior. They want to rationalize their own abilities. What I would say is, guys, you can do the same thing as I do. You have to think different. okay? Because I always thought I was an artist, and I always worked with engineers. There's a big difference, okay? Because every engineer I knew, they knew what a 1957 Chevy taillight looked like. Okay, they knew the batting averages, all the major baseball players. They could tell you who did the certain running scores or touchdowns in football. They knew all this kind of stuff. To me, I had no interest in that kind of stuff. I didn't care what tail light on a 1957 Chevy looked like. Okay. But when I finished the project, I said, man, that was beautiful. They said, what? What do you mean? I said, it's a beautiful job we did. They had no concept of that type of thing. I just thought things different because I had this sense of consciousness about myself. Okay. So when you get into pendulum work, it's the same thing. Everybody who's already used the pendulum knows that's true. That you still your mind, still your body, and the answer will come to you. And so then the question is, what is it you can do with the pendulum? Okay. Now we're running a little longer. I know you have to go. It's like an hour, but how long?
An hour.
So, yeah. So normally we want to do like an hour, but I don't know if anybody wants to do more. We could do a little bit of pendulum work with a coin or something.
I don't have a pendulum, but I don't.
Yeah, I forgot mine tonight too.
I don't use them because they don't like me.
You guys, yeah.
Are you serious? Carrot?
Anything. I mean, we don't have to just kind of, we're running a little long here, but and I just wanted to kind of carry on a little bit from what we did last week, so it was pretty late. But
let's see. I want to see a demonstration of you know, like
Ivy?
just the process. Because the looking for
Right.
something,
okay,
it piques my interest because I lose stuff all the time.
okay, here, let me go through the process here, and we're not necessarily find something. But what I'd like to do next week, if everyone like to do it, is I'd like to do the coin test, the coin toss, okay? But you have to take off your science hat, okay? Do the
I
coin
was
toss.
just wanting to know where I could buy one.
So just do the coin toss next week, and we'll do Finding George next week. Okay, so we'll start using it. But if you have a pendulum, try to get used to it. Okay, when you we did this last week. You just program it. Okay, you're actually moving this. When I'm doing this here, I'm actually moving. Maybe it doesn't look like my hands, and I can stop it. I can do it too. When you're actually doing this, real, your fingers are moving. You will swear you're not moving. You're asking a question, and the pendulum moves. You swear you're not doing it. People can look at it and say, "Oh, your fingers moving." Because
I read the book that,
the beginning
the,
telekinesis.
yeah, that Morgan sent me
Okay.
yesterday morning and got up and went to the kitchen table and I moved it this way, I mean, without moving. And it went, and I said, okay, stop. And then it went in a circle and said, stop. And then I did it for my husband on video. And he was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I'm not, you know, when it did it shaped like that. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, sometimes this happened to me a few times. Very, very rare. Sometimes I'll ask a question, and it'll just nothing. Or I'll find my hand shaking. It doesn't move at all. It's very rare, but usually sometimes it does happen. But anyway, what's your first thing you need to do? Have you ever used pendulum?
Yeah, but not, you know.
Okay.
professionally.
Anyway, what you're doing is your brain is very plastic. Okay. All you have to do is just say what you want, just like the sleep experiment. Okay, we don't know about that one, but we can talk about it if you want to.
She's a quick learner.
The sleep experiment. I'm writing a book about all these kind of things. Basically, how an average person can perform at a genius level. Because I consider myself to be an average person, but people call me genius, they call me Mr. Impossible, only because
I've called you genius all week long.
only because I have a different worldview. The only reason I have a different worldview, I know there's something more than me. So what you're trying to do to start off with is your brain is very plastic. So you just, okay, do it like this means yes. What you're doing is your program. You say, okay, this means yes. However you want to do it. Everyone does something. This means no. Okay. you can say this means on diagonal means, you could say that means something too on a diagonal. Or a diagonal this way, you can say it means something. You can do clockwise means something, or you can do counterclockwise means something. For me, what I always do is that I say, this is yes, but don't let me influence you. But this means no. To me, this means ask a different question, or ask the question in a different way, because maybe it's not clear. Okay, you start getting a circle like this here. I say, okay, I'm not asking the right question, or not asking it the right way. And then counterclockwise, it's like, I can't tell you. Okay. And then when you do something like on diagonal, you could say, well, maybe. Okay. Because it's between half between yes and no. Okay. But if you have a chart, I'll try big charts next week. But the chart's really wonderful. Maps, the same thing.
So,
I got this.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
yeah,
That's
that's what I was gonna say.
That's exactly right. Any kind of
That's
chart,
big.
Yeah.
you can make
Yeah.
it freehand. You can do whatever
Move it
you
over
want.
a little bit. I can see.
Oh,
Can y'all see
Yeah,
that?
you can either be like a
Can you see that?
yes, no, maybe, or
Right.
it can like have letters.
You can have letters.
Like a.
Kind of worked. I know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
You
about
can
that.
use it.
That's cool
You can
looking.
use it.
That's beautiful.
Because I always heard that too about.
Yeah, you can,
similarities to
And so
language.
is she. Look how pretty she
Kind of
is.
makes me a little.
Hi.
But that's just.
well, see, there's a big, I guess, stigma about Ouija boards, but Ouija boards, because you always say, well, you bring in the devil and kind of stuff. Well, number one is I don't believe in the devil, never have. Because whenever I meditate, whenever I see things, my own worldview of things is God, there's God, God's love, and everything else is just a misunderstanding. Okay, people can be evil, but that doesn't mean there's a Satan. Okay, maybe you're acting in a certain way that's not beneficial to you or other people because ego gets in or something like that. But to me, there is no entity called the devil because I have never seen it in all my meditations. I've only seen God. So that's my own take on things. Okay.
But biblically speaking, whenever God cast down, the darkness, the evil, that was the entity that was put on earth, the place, the matrix that we're living in, and that was the exile from the heavenly place, which God freely reigns over and has sight over.
Yeah, there's a lot of interpretations of those kind of things.
Sure, yeah.
But for what I
And many different interpretations, whether it be, the Christian Bible or the Gnostic Bible or, any other form of, it could be Hindu. I mean, it goes back, all through until the cuneiforms, which have you looked at the cuneiforms?
of course, Anunnaki,
Yeah,
the Lost Book of Enki.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one that stuff.
All right.
Yep. So anyway, whenever I get discussions like this, it's just like, okay, there's a big elephant and you're ignoring it. Because it's like, I get in discussions with people about evolution. Is there evolution or not evolution? Did God create everything instantly, or with the thing evolved from the Great Bang? Okay. It's like you're losing the big picture to me. This is like, forget about evolution. Evolution is real. Okay. But that does not mean that evolution started things. That does not mean that evolution created all the species. Doesn't mean that you were descended from amoeba. Okay.
Primordial.
But you know that, for instance, all dogs came from wolves. For instance, look at the variety of dogs. That's evolution. Okay. So you can evolve by selective breeding, selective whatever. Okay. So that's real. Okay. But where did all this other stuff? Where did just the variety of life and stuff come from? Okay. To me, it's in the consciousness. Just like, for instance, I was talking last week about, okay, if you have we can get into image streaming and stuff like that too. Image streaming is a really wonderful thing. I've done it a number of times. And one time I was doing it, I was image streaming. I was in New Orleans in the 1800s. The women all dressed up, they had buggies and stuff like that there. And there's a dog walking down the street, just happily walking down the street. And I said, okay, I'm creating all these things. Okay, I'm creating that dog. I'm creating all these ladies in their bustles. I'm creating all those wagons and the horses. I'm creating all those things. I can look and see it. I mean, my eyes are wide open. Okay, in a dark room, but my eyes wide open. I can see all these things. Okay, I'm creating. Now, what would it be like? My consciousness is creating all these things. What would it be like if I put my consciousness in that dog? How would I feel? Okay, so I'm creating all these other things. I created that dog, but what if I put my consciousness into that dog? What would it be like? See, those are kind of experiments I like to think about. Okay, so as soon as I did that, all of a sudden I had no sense that I had a greater consciousness. I had a sense that I was a dog. And I was looking for a rabbit.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Because a dog does not have a sense of greater consciousness or whatever, something bigger than him. He's looking for that rabbit. Okay. So for me, it's just like, it's just an experiment. Just try it. The other thing is a real big experiment. If you dream, try to read in your dreams. It's almost impossible.
Try what?
Read.
Read.
Try to read.
Or turn on a light. Trying to turn a light on.
Lucid dream is if you allow yourself or you remind yourself,
Right.
like, try to read something.
Well, you can-
Create.
I've never been able to lucid dream, but image streaming you could do. Image streaming you could say, okay, I want to see certain things, and like I was looking at the sign for Knoxville Zoo. Okay, I knew it was the Knoxville Zoo, and I could see the letters, but I couldn't say the word Knoxville Zoo. I could see the letters, I could individually recognize them, but I could not read them. And they say because your dreaming is on the right side of your head, and the word processing is on the left side of your head. Unless you have a really good connection between the two, it's hard to pass between the right and left in terms of reading your dreams.
Right.
Now, I've had some episodes where I think I might have did a little bit of that, but generally so you can't do it. But so that's a challenge for myself too, because whenever someone says you can't do something, well, let's try that. See,
Says the man who can read a book on the gas.
I've read many books driving.
Yeah, I've been in the car. I'm like, how do you have reading comprehension? That's my,
I throw up just thinking about it.
like looking down, like, oh yeah, like cars.
I
Well,
see
you-
that.
I don't know why he's driving.
Yeah, I know. I wish
Yeah.
I could do that. I have to pull over a lot when I'm driving.
Well, I can't. If I'm a passenger, I cannot read in the car because I get dog sick. I mean, I throw up.
Me too.
But he can be drives a car.
But if you're reading, if you're driving,
Oh, nice to meet you. Hi, nice to see you.
I gotta hit the road.
fantastic.
Love you, brother. Bye. Bye. I'll look at your ears next time. Will do. Thank you, Stan, so much.
Okay, we'll discuss finding George this week.
Cool. I'll be here.
If you've never found anything before, it's basically what you do is you just get any place in the room. Just say, I want to find that candle. Okay, I know where it is, but if you don't know where it is, you do like this. Okay, so it's going to be in the line somewhere like here. So you get one place and you take a look at where the line is going to. Then you move to a different part because you have a different perspective. Now it's got to go this way. So you say one line is this way, the next line this way, it must be right there. Okay, so but you're not going to know where it is. You're trying to find something that's lost or someone has placed for you to play a game. Okay, so if you have this idea that we're all consciousness, that you just turn it over by a computer, but it figures out things for you. It's so much smarter than you are. It has information, telepathy, or how you want to look at it, extrasensory perception that you don't seem to have. It can do these things because I've seen it too many times. All my adventures with it. Okay, because I've lived it. So next week we can talk about flipping coins, finding things, and stuff like that. Is there any questions we have about maybe what we talked about tonight, or maybe something we covered last week we didn't? The sleep experiment, for instance. I talked about you buy a computer, right? You're a computer. Well, this friend never sleeps. So one of the things you could do is called the sleep experiment. I have 9 or 10 or 12 experiments that you could do to show that you do have this biocomputer available to you and you can use it. And it's very clear. So this biocomputer never sleeps. So what you can do when you go to bed at night, just have a clock you can look at. You won't be able to open your eyes with the clock and go to sleep. Okay, so just before you're ready to fall asleep, just say, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 2:10, some random time. I'm gonna wake up at 2:10. Go to sleep. When you open your eyes next time, look at the clock, it'll be 2:10, not 1 minute before, not 1 minute after. Okay, so do it a second night. So second night, say, pick a different time. Okay, just say 3:14. Okay, go to sleep. Open your eyes, look at the clock, it'll be 3:14, not 1 minute before, not 1 minute after. Do a third night, because the third night's kind of like, do it one night, that's happenstance, coincidence, okay? You do it 3 nights in a row, it's just like, maybe there's something to it, maybe I should explore this more. Okay, so the third night, pick a different time, just say 1:10, okay? Open your eyes, look at the clock, it'll be 1:10. Now, I had a foreign exchange student, Andreas, Megan knows him very well, knew him very well. But anyway, he said, it can't possibly work. I'm asleep. I'm unconscious. There's no way. I know what time it is. And to wake up on the minute? No. I said, play with it. You don't have to do this. You don't have to know these things. You have a part of you that does not sleep. And it knows what time it is on that clock. Okay? He said, well, I'll try it. I said, just play with it. Okay? He came back after 3 nights, or 3 nights in a row, just like you said. How's that work? I said, take the rest of your life to figure it out. I said, you have something in you. And I said, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work if you are sick, if you're on medication, if you're really tired, or if you talk to somebody about doing it, do it, particularly for younger kids. Because if you tell your friends, hey, I'm going to do this experiment I heard about, where I'm going to wake up at some random time, right on the minute, in the middle of the night, when I'm asleep, they're going to say, what? Forget it. That's stupid. Can't possibly work. So what I say is, don't tell anybody what you're doing until you're done. Then they can't convince you can't do it.
I was trying to do it, but I think because my indecisiveness, that's like, okay, I'll wake up at 2:32. No, wait, because what if I'm on breakfast? Maybe I'll wake up at 4:15.
Well,
That's still too early.
So what you're trying to do, what you're trying to do there, you want to tell so you're in command of your biocomputer. You're in command. So you have your conscious part of you, okay?
Right.
So what I say is, like I told Megan, is your job as a conscious person is to find who you want to be. And then you just tell your biocomputer that's what you want to be. Okay? And then it does it. It's amazing. Okay.
I think the intent's very important too.
Intent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Specific intent.
You have to have an intent to do it, or it doesn't have to be, it could be lighthearted. Because I always say be lighthearted, because your biocomputer is very lighthearted. It pulls jokes. And it doesn't know truth, it doesn't know false. Because you can say to yourself, I'm bad at math, and your biocomputer is really smart. Get this, okay, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you want to be clumsy, you want to trip over every little thing? Okay, I can help you do that. Okay. Oh, you think that you have a jinx on you? Okay, we can do that. It's smart. You can figure those things out. Yeah, we can do it. Okay. So to try this sleep experiment, the other thing that I tell kids, because they run this stuff all the time, is that it's called a procrastination experiment. I just love the experiments that you can do it that don't cost anything. Okay, because you can do them at home. All the experiments I do don't cost you. So the procrastination experiment is, if you have something that you need to do but don't feel like doing it, I always told Megan and Trevor is don't do it. Okay, sit down.
I'm solid scholar on the procrastination.
Okay, sit down. So what you do is, if you're procrastinating something, sit down, relax, close your eyes, and imagine yourself doing that activity, and imagine that you're enjoying it. And I will guarantee, because it works 100% of the time, it's never failed for me. It's never failed for people that I've told about who tried it. Within 15 to 20 minutes of doing that activity, you'll be up doing that activity, being enjoying it, and being done with it. You'll say, what's it called? Because why? Why does that work? Because you can't do anything without thinking about it first. So what you're doing is you're just pre-thinking that you're enjoying it. Okay, you're pre-thinking that you're doing it. So every success system that I've ever seen, and I've read a lot of books about this kind of stuff, which is kind of like my genre of things, it's all based on that same thing. You can't do anything but thinking about it first. Where it's real estate, where it's being a seminary thing, whatever it happens to be, or in your work. You have to think about doing it before you can actually do it. You can't find yourself sharpening a pencil, but how do I get back to sharpening a pencil? No, you thought about doing it, then you went through the motions. Okay. Now some of the things like typing, that's programmed in your thing. So you just say, okay, I need to type thing. You don't have to actually, but you already programmed how to do it. That's been programmed into you. Okay. That's part of that program you buy a computer. Okay. So as long as you can program it, you can do this kind of thing. But normally you can't do anything without thinking about it. Hey, you can get a very quick thought. Oh, I forgot to take that pie out of the oven. Okay, then you go do it. Okay? You have to think about it first. You never thought about taking pie out of the oven, it's gonna burn. So anyway, so procrastination experience is really a very powerful thing to do as well.
I remember specifically I had an audition in high school for the dance tutor thing or whatever, and they invited me to do it. You're a great dancer, you gotta do it. But I was stuck on this one move, and ever since this exercise that I did to myself, I like was laying down in bed, and then I woke up and I said, you know what? No, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch myself over my head do this move.
There you go.
Even though I don't know how my body can do it, because I don't feel when I'm physically was practicing I can do it, but I'm gonna do it in my head. You guarantee the next day was the final audition. I did it like nothing.
Yeah.
Like I never had trouble.
See, those are little dots, what I call dots that you connect. Okay, you have this little dot, another little dot, and you connect these things together and say, hey, this is the way it works. Okay. You can't do anything without thinking about first, but can I use it? Another thing you can do too, if you're in a business or something like that, you're a very busy kind of person. What I tell people is write down 7 things you need to do the next day, just before you fall asleep. Okay, just very quickly. Doesn't have to be 7 things that people want. When you first started, maybe one's a good thing to do. There's something important for you to do. Think about it, write it down, or at least think about it just before you fall asleep. And what you find is you wake up the next day clicking on it. Okay, so try not to do more than 7. 7. Once you get past 7, it's kind of ridiculous because people start to, I gotta wash the dishes. Well, you don't wash the dishes. Okay, pick things that are important that you need to do that could gonna make you more productive. So it could be 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things, wherever your limit is. Now, if you write down 7 things, I'll guarantee you probably won't get them all done because a lot of things are out of your control. There's other people who want to visit you. Other people have things that you want to do. Maybe you can't, right?
Exactly. That's how
So maybe you can get all 7 of them done. But I will guarantee you, think about it, write them down, think about them the night before you have to do them, that you'll be much more productive than you could be otherwise. And one way you do that is over a period of time, how much you have these, maybe you have a to-do list and you didn't really focus on too much, and how much did you get done? Then try this just before sleep and see, because then you program your biocomputer. Hey, I got 8 hours, 7, 8 hours to think about this stuff. But it's already thinking about these kinds of things. This is what I need to do. And so the other thing too, Meg and I talked about the psychic hour. This is something that maybe some of you might not be too kosher with. Okay. But if we're all together, I know some people have these things that they're called night visitations. I've never done this, but I know groups of people who try to get in other people's dreams. Okay.
That's how my husband got me. In the middle of the night, astral projection through dreams.
Okay, so those kind of things. There are people who say they're called dream groups. Okay, so you got a dream group. Usually there's 3 or 4 or 5 people max. Don't have too many people. So then I say Friday night, every Friday night we're going to try to get into your dream. So then you call each other up on Saturday morning. Hey, I had you in my dream. This is what happened.
Shivers.
This is what happened. They say, oh yeah, it's exactly what I saw. So you were sharing dreams. Okay, that's something you can do. The other thing I told Megan about is there's something in your life that you maybe you're having some kind of problem with a person. Someone's very obnoxious or something like that. Things aren't right. Okay, there's a thing called the psychic hour. If you read it in the Bible, it's in Job, chapter 33, verses 15, I think. Okay, but it says that in the visions of the night, something about night visions that you have, that was when you're dreaming at night, God seals your instructions for the next day. So psychic hour, it's called a psychic hour, but it's really like 2:30 to about 4:30. Sometime in there, if you have a problem you need to solve, what you can do is that maybe you have a problem with a person, or you need to have something done. Okay. Like for instance, the first example I've heard is that a friend of mine had a friend who owned a shop. They got a real good deal on some product. They said, "Man, I'm gonna sell this. I'll make a lot of money." Okay, so they bought this product, put it in the store, but it didn't sell well. They said, "This is a real good product. We couldn't sell it." Okay, so he started lowering the price, lowering the price, lowering the price. He said, "It's a good product, but no one seems to be buying it." So he just kept lowering it. And finally, he says, "I must just give it away." Yeah. So he talked to my friend. He says, "Raise it back to full price." He says, "You crazy? Can't even sell it at a very low discount price." He said, "I'll work on it for you." So what he did at night, he said, "I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's during the psychic hour, we're in the middle of the psychic hour." And he said, "My friend, such and such a place, has these wonderful products. Anybody who's interested in these kind of things, please go visit his shop. He has a real good product. You're really going to enjoy it. If that's what you want, you're not trying to force anybody. You're saying, here's a product I think you might be interested in. And you're not saying any specific person. You're saying, if you're out there, you might be interested in this kind of thing, come to the shop." And he said he did that for one night. And he said over the next month, the person sold everything he had in the shop, that particular product, and where he had been selling anything for like a year before that.
Wow.
So you can influence people. Like I had a lady who, she said she was in a condo, and she said the manager of the condo was always this thing, one thing or another. You got to do this, got to do that. And she said, she just grazed my nerve. So great. Then what you do is 3 o'clock in the morning, say, "Sarah, I really enjoy your company. You're a really wonderful person. You're a great manager. I really enjoy your company. I'm glad you're taking care of things. I want to have a very pleasant relationship with you." Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Say that at like 3 o'clock in the morning, because that person's consciousness is out there. Okay. Now, so psychic hour is based on my belief. Like they say that people, I have friends who are very concerned about going to heaven when they die. They're just major concerned about it. Like I had a friend who was Richard, who was raised as a Catholic, but he got kicked out of church because he got divorced from his first wife. And so he got older. He always talked about, "I want to go to heaven. I want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to hell." So he borrowed $10,000 from the bank when he didn't have much money at all. He always said, "I ran out of money before I ran out of money." Okay. And his wife didn't work. So he borrowed $10,000 to give to church so he could get back into church's good graces and go to heaven. Richard, you go to heaven every night. What do you think it is? If you talk about the kingdom of God within you, where do you think you go and you sleep tonight? You go to heaven. I said, so every night you go to sleep, you go to heaven. If you have a nightmare, that's hell. Okay. If you have a good dream, then that's heaven for you. But it's all heaven. This is what you're taking with you. Okay. You think that there's some heaven way out there someplace? No. Every time you go to sleep at night. So just think about it that way. I said, no amount of money is going to get you to heaven. You're already there every night anyway. It's like, a lot of people don't believe that. It's like they don't believe that thoughts are not God. But it's just a mindset that says, okay, hey, I'm going to heaven tonight. Okay.
I want some more details about the thoughts and having our own, but I'm just so curious about it. I want like more conversations about
Yeah,
it.
you
But the witch or psychic hour.
second,
And that's why I ended up as a mermaid this year. Under a full moon, I sat there at the window. I woke up at 3 like I always do. And I looked up and I wrote a business plan in Tennessee. So
yeah, your thoughts are not. You program yourself who you want to be, and then this whatever, this biocomputer or this guide, this matrix, or however you want to think of it, gives you the thoughts that go along with that. So, well, is that possible? If you read, there's generally thing, as with anything, so with everything. So if you have great inventors saying, wasn't my idea, it's come to me, and I personally, I know this is the way it is, because I've had this, it just comes to you. full blown, complete. Okay,
You got 1 minute now.
okay. Anyway. Okay. So, yeah, we can talk about this kind of stuff more. Well, we're running along here. It's already 5 more hours, so.
No.
Interesting,
Yes, very
it's very valuable and I'm appreciative of it.
Yes.
But eventually, hopefully we can use our mind to move something.
I'll get some
Okay.
zucchini for
Side-
next week.
Side,
I'll get a pendulum, it's just mine always break, they don't
But-
like.
side wheels. Megan, this
The
is,
crystals break, with too much energy.
Yeah, I'll set it down and if I use it for something that it's not letting me say that I can use it for, and I try to do it for something else, it'll break.
Wow.
I've 3 or 4 already.
So we'll get you the zucchini.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one.
so anyway, we're gonna be doing some here before too long. Hopefully start